I had just retired, finally free after 40 years of hard work. When my daughter Caitlin called and said, "You don't do anything anymore. Watch my twins while I visit my boyfriend," I smiled and said yes. She thought she was dropping her kids off for free babysitting. She had no idea I was setting a trap. 5 days later, CPS was at my door and her husband was packing his bags. Want to know how I pulled it off? My name is Betty Moore. I am 66 years old. I retired last Tuesday after spending over 4 decades working in school administration. For the first time in my adult life, I had no alarm clock set, no meetings to run, no teachers waiting for decisions, just quiet mornings, tea on the porch, and the simple pleasure of not being needed. It lasted exactly 48 hours. I had just sat down with a stack of travel brochures, Maine in the summer, maybe Paris in the fall, when my phone rang. The name on the screen made my stomach clench before I even answered. Caitlin. I let it ring 3 times. Then I picked up, "Hello. Hey." No greeting, no pause. "I'm dropping the twins off tomorrow morning. You'll watch them for a week." A pause hung between us. Then I spoke. "Excuse me." Caitlin sighed like I was already making things difficult. "I've got a business trip. Miami. It's kind of last minute. I need you to take the kids." "You need to ask, Caitlin." "I am asking," she snapped. "I'm asking you to help your family." My eyes went back to the brochure in my lap. A lighthouse stood on the cover, bold and bright, offering the kind of peace I used to dream of during long meetings and even longer years. "I had plans," I said. Caitlin laughed, that sharp, bitter laugh I had learned to brace for. "What plans? Come on. You're retired. You do nothing now." I felt something shift in my chest, like a crack. Doing nothing was something I had earned, but she said it like it was a shameful thing. Like I owed her my time because I had finally stopped working myself into the ground. "I'm not just sitting around waiting to be your nanny," I said. "You're their grandmother," she snapped. "It's your job to help. I'm your mother. Don't confuse the two." "Do you want to see your grandkids again?" Her voice went cold. "Or do you want missed birthdays and holidays too? Because if you refuse this, I'll remember." That was her way. Always framed like a favor, always loaded with threats. I looked at the kitchen table, the brochures, the untouched crossword, the lemon tea growing cold, 48 hours into retirement, and already I was being dragged back into the same web. I should have said no. I should have hung up, but I smiled instead. "Of course, Caitlin. Bring them over tomorrow at 7. "I knew you'd come around," she said. "And please don't let them eat that junk food like last time. Ivy has allergies, and Jackson needs his screen time limited." Then she hung up. Just like that. I sat there staring at the silent phone in my hand. I used to think that the worst betrayals were loud, that you would hear them coming like a storm, but the worst kind are quiet, casual, wrapped in the voice of someone who believes they own you. She thought I had nothing left to do. She thought I had no power left. That's when I made the decision. I stood up, walked over to the drawer where I keep old business cards, and pulled out the one that mattered. Carol Banks, an old friend, a private investigator now. I dialed. "Betty," her voice was surprised. "It's been ages. I need your help," I said. "Do you still do surveillance work?" There was a pause. "Depends. Who are we looking at?" "My daughter," I said. "She says she's going on a business trip. I think she's going to see her boyfriend, and she's dropping off her twins with me like I'm a free babysitter." Carol's tone changed. "Give me the details. I'll be there tomorrow." As I hung up, I glanced back at my tea. It was cold now, but something else had started to warm inside me.
I was not going to let Caitlin use me. Not again.
She thought she had won, that I would fold like always, but I had just started my retirement, and I had nothing but time. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family, hit subscribe, because this story is about what happens when the person everyone dismissed turns out to be more dangerous than they ever imagined. She showed up just after 7, like she said she would, though I half expected her to be late, or worse, not come at all and leave me with one more excuse to resent her. Her car didn't even come to a full stop before the back door flung open and the twins came tumbling out, still in pajamas, dragging tangled backpacks behind them. Caitlin didn't even step out. She rolled down the window and shouted, "Their tablets are in the bag. No sugar, No juice. Ivy gets cranky. Jackson likes his screen time. I walked to the car, looked in through the window. Her eyes were hidden behind sunglasses that were too big for her face. "You're not going to say goodbye to them?" I asked quietly. She waved her hand toward the back seat, like she was swatting a fly. "They know I love them. I'll call later. Just handle it, Betty." She pulled away before I could say another word. No hugs, no kiss on the forehead, not even a glance at the kids. Just gone. I turned to the twins. Ivy was already pouting. Jackson refused to make eye contact. They didn't say hello. The first hour was nothing but noise. Jackson stomped through the hallway demanding Wi-Fi. Ivy asked for gummy worms, and when I said no, she collapsed on the floor in what looked like a practiced tantrum. "You're so mean," she screamed. "Mom lets us eat whatever we want." I crouched down, kept my voice even. "I'm not your mom, Ivy. And in this house, we have breakfast at the table." She crossed her arms, bottom lip trembling. "You're not even a real grandma." That one hit harder than I expected. I stood back up, walked to the kitchen, and put on the kettle. By 9, I had confiscated one tablet and hidden the other under a stack of towels. They hadn't looked up once since arriving. I tried asking questions. "What's your favorite book? What did you do in school this week? Do you have any games with out loud music?" Nothing. Just grunts, eye rolls, and the kind of silence that carries weight. It wasn't that they were bad kids. They were anxious, wired, unseen, and I was beginning to realize just how deeply neglected they were. Jackson finally spoke when I turned off the television. "Mom says this house is gross," he muttered. "She said you're boring and old and you only want to boss people around." He said it like he was quoting her word for word. Ivy giggled from the couch. She said you're jealous because she's young and pretty and has a husband. I didn't answer right away. My hands were in the sink, washing a plate neither of them had touched. That was Caitlin's voice coming through their mouths. Every insult, every dig, now repurposed and handed back to me through her children. My chest ached, not from what they said, but from what they had heard again and again. Long enough to believe it. I sat them down at the table and laid out peanut butter toast and apples. Ivy picked at the crusts. Jackson stared at his lap. I tried again. "Tell me what you like to do when Mom's not home." Ivy looked up. "We get to stay up late." Jackson added, "Matt lets us eat cereal for dinner." That name stopped me cold. "Who's Matt?" Ivy shrugged. "Mom's friend. He brings pizza. He sleeps on the couch." My stomach turned. I kept my voice steady. "Is your dad home when Matt visits?" Jackson shook his head. "Dad works late. Mom says it's our secret." The words hung there, heavy and wrong. I felt cold behind my eyes. The kind of cold that comes before something sharp. "Does Matt hurt you?" I asked, trying not to let my voice shake. They both shook their heads quickly, almost rehearsed. "No, he's fun," Ivy said. "He lets us play games." But something in Jackson's eyes looked off. I knew better than to push right away. Instead, I cleaned up the plates, gave them coloring books, walked to the back room. That's where I had stashed the voice recorder Carol gave me. I had laughed when she handed it over yesterday. Thought it was overkill. But now I clicked it on and slid it behind the fruit bowl on the kitchen counter. The kids talked freely when they thought I wasn't listening. I needed proof. Not just for myself, for Matt, for anyone who might have the power to protect them. The rest of the day was a test in patience. Ivy had a meltdown when I took away the tablet after an hour. Jackson poured orange juice into the potted plant by the window when I told him no more cookies. They called me names, ones too grown up for their age. They sulked. They whispered things I couldn't hear. But they also started to soften. Just a little. Ivy asked if she could help stir the soup at dinner. Jackson held his napkin in his lap instead of throwing it on the floor. They weren't used to rules, but part of them seemed hungry for them. That night, after bath time and storybooks and finally getting them to sleep in separate beds, I sat alone in the living room and played back the recording. I listened to their small voices talk about cereal for dinner. Matt sleeping on the couch, Mommy going out with makeup and no coat. My heart cracked open. Caitlin had always been selfish, but I hadn't realized it had reached this level. I saved the file, labeled it, and placed the recorder in the drawer. I didn't sleep much. My mind kept circling the same thought. Caitlin didn't just dump her kids on me. She dumped a secret one she thought I would be too old, too soft, too powerless to handle. But she was wrong. These children weren't just misbehaving. They were surviving. And Caitlin wasn't just careless. She was reckless, dangerous. And if she could lie to her husband so easily, who knew what else she was hiding? I picked up my phone, opened a blank message, and stared at the screen. My finger hovered over the contact. Carol, I typed. The recorder worked. There's more going on than I thought. Can we talk tomorrow? I pressed send. Then I sat there in the dark, listening to the twins breathe through the baby monitor. For the first time in years, I was afraid of what might happen if I did nothing, and more afraid of what would happen if I did something. I woke up before the kids. That surprised me. I hadn't slept well, tossing between anger and helplessness, mind racing over things said and unsaid. But I had to get ahead of the day. I needed control, even if it was just for a moment. I poured myself a cup of coffee, sat at the table, and stared at the baby monitor beside me. Two small bodies breathing, tangled in blankets that didn't belong to them. I should have been planting a garden this week. Instead, I was trying to make sense of why I felt like a stranger in my own house. By 8, Ivy was already pouting and Jackson was halfway through the cereal box. They asked for their tablets. I told them no. Jackson glared. Mom says you're not the boss. I kept my voice steady. Right now, I'm the one making breakfast. Ivy crossed her arms. You don't like us. That one hit me harder than I expected. I bent down and looked her in the eyes. That's not true. I like you both very much. But liking someone means doing what's best for them, even when it's hard. She turned her head away. After breakfast, I gave them a craft project, just to keep their hands busy. Paper, glue, glitter. Simple things. I pretended to tidy the kitchen while I positioned the recorder behind the napkin holder. It was already on. Carol's instructions were clear. Don't ask too many questions. Let them talk. Just be around. Let it happen. Jackson started humming a song. Ivy told him to be quiet. Mom says that song reminds her of Daddy, she mumbled. Jackson leaned closer. Matt sings it better. I froze, hand halfway to the cabinet. Matt sings. Yeah, Ivy said. He plays guitar when Mom gets sad. I turned slowly. Who is Matt again? Jackson looked up. Mom's friend, the one who sleeps on the couch. I forced myself to sound casual. How long has Matt been around? Ivy frowned. Since the Halloween party, he gave us candy. Daddy doesn't like him. That was the moment something inside me shifted, like a puzzle piece clicking into place only to reveal a picture I had no desire to see. I kept my face neutral. What kind of games does Matt play with you? Scary ones, Ivy whispered. But we're not supposed to tell. What do you mean? Jackson pushed his chair back. Nothing. We're going outside. They grabbed their jackets and ran out the back door before I could ask anything else. I stood there in the quiet kitchen, suddenly aware of how loud the silence was. I walked over, turned off the recorder, and sat down with it in my lap. I played it back from the beginning, listening to their voices fill the room again. By the third mention of Matt, my hands were shaking. There were too many details, too many things that didn't add up. Why was Caitlin leaving them with a man her husband didn't approve of? Why were the kids being told to keep it secret? Why did cereal count as dinner? I pressed pause. I needed someone to hear this. I picked up the phone and dialed Carol. You got something? She asked immediately. Yes, I said. I need you to listen. But more than that, I need to know who Matt is. I need you to find out what Caitlin has been hiding. Say no more, she replied. Send me the file. I emailed the recording and stared at the screen until I got the confirmation. Then I sat back and let the guilt roll in. Had I missed the signs earlier? Had I been too busy trying to keep the peace, to see how bad it really was? Maybe. Probably. But not anymore. That evening, I sat with the kids on the couch. No screams, no yelling, just us. Ivy curled into my side like she had always belonged there. Jackson was quiet but calm, focused on his coloring book. Do you miss home? I asked. Ivy shrugged. Not really. Why not? She looked up at me. Because here, nobody forgets to tuck me in. I didn't have a response. I just pulled her in tighter. Jackson spoke without looking up. Daddy tucks me in when Mom is gone, but he works a lot.
That part didn't surprise me.
Nathan had always been steady, kind, but Caitlin had a way of wearing people down. I waited a moment, then asked, "Do you talk to your dad much when Mom's away?" Jackson nodded. "Sometimes, but she says not to bother him. She says he's too busy," Ivy added. I swallowed hard. "You know you can always talk to me too, right?" They both nodded, but I wasn't sure they believed it yet. I put them to bed early that night, read 2 stories, sang one lullaby, watched their eyes close, their breathing settle. I waited until I was sure they were asleep. Then I pulled out the recorder again and played it all the way through. Every word, every name, every truth I had been afraid to hear. I saved the file twice. Once on my laptop, once on a flash drive. This was no longer just about discipline or hurt feelings. Caitlin was lying about Matt, about her whereabouts, about what she exposed her children to, and she had dragged me into it without a second thought. I stared out the window for a long time. The street was quiet, porch lights flickering on one by one. Somewhere out there, Caitlin was laughing over cocktails, believing she had fooled everyone. But her children had told the truth. And I was listening now. I was folding Ivy's pajamas when my phone buzzed again. 3rd time this morning. It was Carol. "I spoke to my sister," she said, voice brisk. "She's willing to do a wellness check." My hands paused mid-fold. "You're serious?" "Yes. But Betty, you have to understand this is just a first look. She can't make any official moves unless she sees something clearly off. But she's good at what she does. She'll see it." I nodded, forgetting she couldn't see me. "That's all I need. Just eyes on the situation." Carol hesitated. "Do you want Nathan involved yet?" I sat down on the edge of the bed. "Not yet. I want more first. If I bring him in now, he might say something. Caitlin will twist it like she always does." "All right. Keep documenting." "My sister's name is Lauren. She'll visit Thursday morning." Thursday. That gave me 3 more days. I thanked her, hung up, and stared at the pajama top in my lap. I had bought it last summer during a clearance sale. Caitlin never even noticed. Downstairs, the twins were unusually quiet. I peeked in. They were sitting on the floor with colored pencils, drawing what looked like people holding hands. Ivy glanced up and smiled. It was small, but it stopped me in my tracks. "Who's this?" I asked, pointing to a woman in the picture. "That's you," Ivy said. "We're at the beach. He brought sandwiches. And cookies." Jackson nodded. But not the hard kind. The soft ones. Something in my throat tightened. "That sounds nice." Ivy leaned closer. "Can we go to the beach sometime? Just us? Maybe this summer?" "If your mom says it's okay," I whispered. She went back to coloring. "Mom hates sand." Their words were light, but the weight they carried sat heavy on my chest. I pulled out my notebook and began jotting things down. Meals, moods, phrases the kids used, patterns in behavior. The recordings were already piling up. Each one told a different version of the same truth. They weren't being raised. They were being left behind. That evening, I opened Caitlin's social media. She wasn't careful. I expected a few generic travel shots. What I got was full-blown vacation content. Pools, nightclubs, dinner dates. A man with his arm around her waist in more than one picture. Same man from the Halloween photo Ivy mentioned. Matt. I took screenshots of everything. Labeled them by date. Sent copies to Carol with short notes. She replied within minutes. "Keep going. You're building something solid." I stared at Caitlin's latest post. Caption read, "Grateful for peace and grown-up time." And there she was, smiling with a drink in one hand, and her legs over Matt's lap. Peace. I closed the app and looked at my living room. Toys scattered, juice on the rug, 2 kids fighting over a coloring book. This was the peace she ran from. Thursday came faster than I expected. I cleaned the house just enough to feel in control. Not too much that it looked staged. I gave the Kurds a normal breakfast. Kept our routine as usual. At 10, the doorbell rang. I answered it with steady hands. Lauren was young, mid-30s, professional, confident. She wore simple clothes, carried a folder, and had a warm smile. Hi, I'm Lauren from Child Services. I just wanted to do a quick welfare check. The twins stood behind me. Jackson peered at her with cautious eyes. Ivy stepped back. I explained to them someone might stop by, I said. They've been a bit overwhelmed. Lauren crouched to their level. Hi there, I just want to talk to you for a little bit. Nothing scary. Jackson stayed quiet. Ivy nodded slowly. Okay, Lauren looked at me. Mind if I talk to them in another room? I led her to the sunroom and gave her space. I stood outside the door, not eavesdropping, but not breathing either. 20 minutes passed. She came out holding her folder a little tighter. I can't tell you everything, of course, she said, voice low. But I can tell you this. Your instincts were right. There's enough here to justify a formal investigation. I exhaled, a sound I hadn't even realized I was holding back. What happens next? I asked. We'll open a case quietly. You keep doing what you're doing. Keep records. Keep the kids stable. If anything escalates, call me directly. I nodded. What about Caitlin? She'll be notified only when necessary. For now, we don't want her changing behavior to hide things. I closed the door behind her, heart racing. I had taken the first real step. The line was drawn. I spent the rest of the day holding the kids closer than usual. They didn't know what was coming. Maybe that was for the best. That night, I made grilled cheese. I danced in the kitchen while Jackson built towers from couch cushions. I watched them, and for a brief moment, I let myself believe everything might turn out all right. But deep down, I knew the storm hadn't even started. Caitlin was coming back tomorrow, and she would have no idea what waited for her. I heard her car before I saw it. That high-pitched engine I had learned to associate with chaos. The kids were still in their pajamas, sitting at the kitchen table with crayons scattered between them. Ivy was humming. Jackson had just started drawing a sun with angry eyes. I stood there holding the dish towel, watching from the window as Caitlin pulled up and parked without straightening the wheel. She didn't get out right away. She sat there, probably adjusting her makeup or texting Matt goodbye. The twins didn't react. They kept coloring. When the car door finally opened, I braced myself. She walked in without knocking. "Where are my babies?" she called out, loud like a performance. Ivy looked up. "Hi, Mommy." Caitlin swept in, sunglasses still on. Arms outstretched. "I missed you so much, my angels." Jackson stayed in his seat. "You said you were gone for work." Caitlin froze mid-hug.
I was sweetie. Work trip.
I crossed my arms. "Funny. Your pictures made it look more like a vacation." She turned toward me, jaw tight. "Excuse me?"
I saw your posts, Caitlin. The hotel bar. The boat. Nat.
Her mouth opened, then shut. Then she smiled. "You stalked my page. That's low. You left your children with me under false pretenses." "They're fine," she snapped. "More than fine. You should be thanking me for letting you spend time with them." My hand clenched around the towel. "You didn't let me do anything. You dumped them here." "I trusted you." "No, you used me. There's a difference." Caitlin walked into the living room, sat on the couch like she owned it. "Are we seriously doing this? You think you're some hero because you made soup and played babysitter for 5 days." I stepped closer. "I know what you've been doing. I know about Matt. I know he's in your house around the kids while Nathan is working overnight." Her eyebrows lifted. "Used. You're spying now? You really have nothing better to do in retirement." "Actually," I said slowly, "I've been documenting everything. The way the kids talk about him, what they eat, what they're told to keep secret." Caitlin stood up. "You're out of your mind." "No, I'm not. And someone else agrees." She paused. "What do you mean, someone else?" There was a knock on the door. Her face strained. I walked past her and opened it. Lauren stood there, badge in hand, polite, but firm. "Good morning, Caitlin. I'm Lauren. I work with Child Protective Services. We need to have a conversation." Caitlin turned white. "This is harassment." "No," Lauren replied calmly. "This is a scheduled welfare follow-up." I stepped aside. "You said they were fine, Caitlin. Now let's see if someone else agrees." Caitlin clutched her purse like it could shield her. "I want to call my husband." "Go ahead," I said. "You should. In fact, I already did." She looked at me like I had slapped her. "Nathan knows." I nodded. "He's on his way." Caitlin spun toward Lauren. This is insane. My mother-in-law is bitter. She's trying to take my children. I'm your mother, I corrected, and I'm trying to protect your children. Lauren remained professional. I'm just here to assess the situation. Caitlin tried again. This is just temporary. Matt is a friend. Nothing inappropriate has ever happened. I have recordings, I said quietly. Their words, their fear. You can't talk your way out of this one. Caitlin stared at me. Her mouth trembled, but she said nothing. Footsteps came from the hallway. Jackson and Ivy stood there, clutching their coloring books. Jackson spoke first. Are we in trouble? Lauren crouched down. Not at all, sweetie. I just wanted to meet you. Can you show me what you drew? He held out his picture. The sun with angry eyes. Ivy walked over to me and slipped her hand into mine. Caitlin stood frozen, like she had no idea what to do with her arms, her words, her face. I did everything for them, she whispered. Everything? I said softly. You did everything for yourself. The door opened again. Nathan stepped inside. He looked tired, older than I remembered. He didn't greet Caitlin. He walked straight to the twins, kissed their heads, and looked at me. What happened? He asked. Caitlin's voice cracked again. Betty's trying to make me look bad. I answered him. She doesn't need my help with that. Nathan looked at Lauren. I want to cooperate with whatever you need. I want to know the truth. Caitlin stepped back. You're taking her side? I'm taking my children's side, he said. Ivy pulled my hand tighter. Lauren cleared her throat. Let's talk privately, all of us. The kids can stay here for now. Nathan nodded. Caitlin didn't move. I looked around the room. Everything felt different now. The weight was lifting, but I knew this was just the beginning. Caitlin turned toward me, eyes narrow, lips trembling. You're going to regret this, she hissed. I looked her straight in the eyes. No, Caitlin, you are. I stood in front of Nathan's house 3 days later, keys in my hand. Caitlin had been arrested that morning. Not for child abuse directly, but for outstanding warrants I hadn't even known about. Unpaid debts. Fraud charges from credit cards opened in Nathan's name. The CPS investigation had uncovered more than just neglect. It had uncovered a pattern. Nathan opened the door before I could knock. His eyes were red. Come in, he said. The house felt empty. Different. Like the air had changed. Where are the kids? I asked. With my sister. I needed time to process all this. We sat at his kitchen table. The same table where Caitlin had probably sat with Matt, where she'd made her plans. I didn't know, Nathan said finally. About Matt. About how bad things were. I was working so much, and when I was home, she'd act normal. She'd smile, make dinner, pretend everything was fine. That's what people like her do, I said. They perform. But the kids, they tried to tell me, didn't they? Little comments, little hints, and I dismissed them because I didn't want to believe it. You're not the only one who missed it, but I'm their father. I should have seen. And now you know. That's what matters. He looked at me. Betty, thank you for not looking away, for not letting her convince you everything was fine. I couldn't, not after I heard what the kids were saying.
What happens now?
To Caitlin, CPS has recommended she complete a treatment program. Counseling, parenting classes, supervised visitation only until she can prove she's stable.
And Matt?
There's an investigation. If they find evidence of inappropriate conduct with the children, he'll face charges. Nathan put his head in his hands. How did we get here? One bad choice at a time, I said. One lie building on another, until the whole thing coalesced. We sat in silence for a while. Then Nathan said, Betty, I need to ask you something. Okay, would you be willing to take the kids? Just for a few months, until I can figure things out. Get the house stable, find better childcare. My heart clenched. Nathan, I know it's asking a lot, but they trust you. They feel safe with you, and right now I can't give them what they need. I thought about my retirement, my travel brochures, my quiet mornings. Then I thought about Ivy asking if we could go to the beach, about Jackson's son with angry eyes, about 2 children who needed someone to choose them. Yes, I said, I'll take them. Nathan's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. But Nathan, this isn't forever. You need to do the work. Therapy. Parenting support. Whatever it takes to be the father they need. I will. I promise. As I drove home that night, I thought about what the next few months would look like. The chaos, the noise, the responsibility. But I also thought about Ivy's smile when I tucked her in. About Jackson finally feeling safe enough to be a kid. Retirement could wait. My grandchildren needed me now. The house smelled like pancakes. Ivy was setting the table, carefully placing forks and napkins exactly where I'd shown her. Jackson was reading a book in the living room, his new glasses perched on his nose. They'd been with me for 3 months now. Long enough for routines to form. Long enough for the nightmares to start fading. Nathan visited twice a week. He'd completed a parenting class, started therapy, found a new job with better hours. He was trying. Really trying. Caitlin had called once, from a treatment facility in Connecticut. She asked to speak to the kids. I'd let them decide. Ivy said no. Immediately. Jackson hesitated, then shook his head. Maybe later, he said. When I'm ready. I told Caitlin. She cried. Said she understood. Said she was working on herself. I hoped it was true. For the kids' sake, if not for hers. That morning, as we sat down to breakfast, Ivy looked up at me. Grandma Betty? Yes, honey. Can we stay here forever? My throat tightened. Your dad's working hard to make a home for you, but you'll always be welcome here. Always. Even when we're grown up? Especially then. Jackson spoke without looking up from his book. Dad says we might move closer to you, so we can visit more. Would you like that? He nodded.
Yeah, I like it here.
Ivy reached across the table and grabbed my hand. Me too. Later that afternoon, Carol stopped by. You did it, she said, sitting on my porch with a cup of tea. You saved those kids. I did what anyone would do. No. Most people look the other way. Most people don't want the hassle. You didn't. I couldn't. They're my grandchildren. And Caitlin's your daughter. That must have been hard. I thought about it. It was. But being a parent means protecting your children, even when it's from each other, even when it costs you everything. Carol raised her teacup. To retirement? I laughed. Some retirement. I have 2 kids living with me. Best kind of retirement. Maybe. As the sun set, I watched Ivy and Jackson play in the backyard. They were chasing fireflies, their laughter carrying on the warm breeze. 3 months ago, they'd been silent, withdrawn, scared. Now they were just kids. Being kids. That was worth more than any trip to Paris. 6 months after that first phone call, Caitlin showed up at my door. She looked different. Thinner. Hair shorter. Eyes clearer but sadder. Can I come in? She asked. I hesitated, then stepped aside. We sat in my living room. The kids were at school. How are they? Caitlin asked. They're doing well. Thriving, actually. Did they ask about me? Sometimes. What do you tell them? The truth. That you're working on being healthier. That you love them, but needed help. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Mom. For everything. For using you. For neglecting them. For lying. I know. Do you forgive me? I thought about it carefully. I'm working on it. But forgiveness takes time, and it requires proof that you've changed. Not just words. I understand. She wiped her eyes. I completed the program. 90 days inpatient. I'm sober now. 6 months clean. That's good. Matt's in jail. He was arrested for drug trafficking. Turns out the business he was running was dealing. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. But you brought him around your children. I know. I was so stupid. So blind. I thought he cared about me. But he was just using my house, my family as cover. Did he hurt the kids? No. CPS confirmed that. He never touched them. But he scared them. He made them uncomfortable. And I ignored it. Because I wanted to believe I'd found someone who loved me. Nathan loved you. I know. And I destroyed that too. She looked down at her hands. He's filing for divorce. I don't blame him. What do you want, Caitlin? Why are you here? I want to see my kids. I want to start rebuilding. The program said I need to take accountability, make amends where possible. I'm trying to do that. The kids aren't ready yet. I know. But someday, maybe. If you prove you've really changed, if you put in the work every single day, if you prioritize them over yourself, I will. I promise. Caitlin, you've made promises before. This time is different. We'll see. After she left, I sat on the couch thinking about the daughter I'd raised versus the woman she'd become, versus the woman she might still be. Addiction was complicated. Mental health was complicated. Parenthood was complicated. But the kids' safety wasn't complicated. That was simple. They came first. Always. 9 months into having the kids, Nathan asked to meet. I found a house, he said. 3 bedrooms. Good school district. Close to you. That's wonderful. I want to bring the kids home. My chest tightened. I'd known this day was coming, but knowing didn't make it easier. Are you ready? I asked. I think so. I've been in therapy. I understand what I missed before. How to spot warning signs. How to prioritize them. I'm ready to be the father they deserve. What about Caitlin?
She'll have supervised visitation, court ordered. Once a month to start.
If she stays clean, stays stable, we can increase it. And Matt? He pleaded guilty. He's in prison for 5 years minimum. Good. Nathan looked at me. Betty, I can never repay you for what you've done. For stepping in. For protecting them when I couldn't. You don't have to repay me. They're my grandchildren. Still, you gave up your retirement, your freedom, your plans.
I smiled. I got something better. I got to know them.
Really know them. And I got watch them heal. When should we tell them? Let's tell them together. Tonight. That evening, Nathan came for dinner. After we ate, we sat the kids down. Jackson, Ivy, your dad has something to tell you, I said. Nathan knelt in front of them. I found us a house. A new house. Just for us. And I want you to come home. Ivy's face crumpled. I don't want to leave Grandma. You're not leaving her. You're going home. But Grandma will visit all the time. And you'll visit her too. Jackson looked at me. Will you really visit? Every week, I promised. And you can call me anytime. Day or night. What about Mom? Ivy asked quietly. Nathan took a breath.
Mom's getting better.
You'll see her sometimes. With someone there to make sure everyone's safe. But right now, it's just going to be us. Me and you two. Is that okay? Jackson asked. More than okay, Nathan said. It's what I should have done a long time ago. They moved out 2 weeks later. I helped them pack, set up their new rooms, made sure they had everything they needed. When I drove away from Nathan's new house that night, my own house felt empty.
Too quiet. Too still.
I walked through the rooms where the twins had lived. Ivy's drawings were still on the fridge. Jackson's comic was on the nightstand. I sat on the couch and cried. Not because I was sad they were gone, but because I was so relieved they were safe. The birthday party was in my backyard. Ivy turned 8, Jackson turned 6. Nathan had organized everything. Cake, games, decorations. He'd done it himself without asking for help, which told me everything I needed to know about how far he'd come. Caitlin was there too, supervised by a court-appointed monitor, but there, clean, sober, present. She watched from a distance as the kids played. She didn't approach them until they approached her. Ivy hugged her briefly. Jackson showed her his new book. Then they ran back to their friends. They're doing so well, Caitlin said to me later. They are. Because of you. Because of a lot of people. Nathan. Their therapist. Their teachers. Me. Everyone working together. I wish I could have been part of that team from the start. So do I. She looked at me. Mom, do you think they'll ever forgive me? I don't know, but I know they need you to keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Keep being consistent. I will. As the party wound down and guests started leaving, Nathan pulled me aside. Betty, I need to tell you something. Okay, I'm seeing someone. Her name is Louisa. She's a teacher. The kids like her. That's wonderful. I wanted you to know because I'm not making the same mistakes. She knows everything about Caitlin, about Matt, about what happened. And she's here for the right reasons. I'm proud of you for dating someone, for learning, for being honest, for protecting your kids. He hugged me. Thank you, Mom, for everything. After everyone left, I sat in my quiet backyard with a cup of tea, watching the sun set.
My retirement hadn't looked anything like I'd planned. No trips to Maine, no Paris in the fall, but I'd done something better. I'd saved 2 children who needed saving. I'd stood up when it would have been easier to look away, and in the process I'd learned something about myself. Retirement didn't mean stopping. It meant choosing what mattered. And family broken, complicated, messy family that mattered most. I was in my garden when I heard the familiar sound of small feet running. Grandma Betty. Evie and Jackson came racing across the lawn, backpacks bouncing. "We have a surprise," Ivy shouted. "What is it?" Jackson pulled out a paper. "We made honor roll. Both of us." I looked at their report cards. All A's and B's. Teacher comments. "Ivy is thriving. Jackson is a joy to have in class. I'm so proud of you both. Dad said we could sleep over tonight to celebrate. Can we?" I looked toward the driveway. Nathan was there, smiling, giving me a thumbs up. "Of course you can." That night, we made pizza from scratch. Watched a movie, built a blanket fort in the living room. As I tucked them in, Ivy asked, "Grandma, do you ever wish you'd done those trips? The ones in the magazines?" I thought about the brochures I'd been looking at that day Caitlin called. The Lighthouse. Maine. Paris. "Sometimes," I said honestly. "But then I think about you too, and I realize I got the better adventure." "We're an adventure?" Jackson asked. "The best kind." After they fell asleep, I sat in my kitchen with my own cup of tea, looking at photos on my phone, the twins then versus now. Scared and silent versus confident and thriving. I'd given up my plans, but I'd gained something irreplaceable. I'd gained the knowledge that when it mattered most, when 2 children needed someone to fight for them, I hadn't looked away. Caitlin was rebuilding her life slowly. One supervised visit at a time. Matt was in prison. Nathan had found stability and love. And me? I'd found purpose in my retirement. Not in travel or leisure, but in showing up when it counted. The next morning, I woke to pancakes. Nathan had let himself in with his key and was making breakfast while the kids set the table. "You didn't have to do this," I said. "Yes, I did. You've made us breakfast 100 times. My turn." We sat together, the 4 of us, like the family we'd become, not perfect, not what I'd planned, but real. And that was worth more than any postcard from Paris. Later, as they were leaving, Ivy ran back and hugged me tight. "I love you, Grandma Betty." "I love you too, sweetheart. Thank you for saving us." I kissed the top of her head. "You saved me too." She looked confused. "How?" "You reminded me that retirement doesn't mean you stop mattering. It just means you get to choose what you fight for." She smiled, not fully understanding, but accepting it anyway. They drove away, waving through the back window. I stood on my porch, waving back, feeling the weight of the last 2 years settle into something lighter. I'd done it. I'd protected them. I'd stood up to Caitlin. I'd built a case that got CPS involved. I'd given Nathan the time he needed to become the father his children deserved. And I'd proven something to myself that 66 years old, with 4 decades of work behind me, didn't mean I was done. It meant I was ready for whatever came next. My phone buzzed. A text from Carol. "Coffee next week? Want to hear about a case I'm working on? Might need your expertise." I smiled. "Absolutely. I'll bring my recorder." Because retirement, I'd learned, wasn't about stopping. It was about choosing the battles that mattered. And I was just getting started.